that sound can only mean one thing. It's time for Film Fanatics, the fastest hour in radio. Yes, fans, thank you very much. And I love how we did our own promo right before the show. That's great. So nothing like self-promotion. Yes, yes. And I'm Bruce Bennett, film critic for the Spectrum and Daily News and madaboutmovies.org. And as we do every Saturday, we're here talking about movies. But there's one special, very special, significant difference today. Normally sitting across from me is Adam Mass, the handsome writer for The Independent and ZBoneman.com. But he couldn't be here today.
Oh,
it's too bad. But we have in place of Adam filling his shoes most admirably and more handsomely, local celebrity Sheldon Demke.
Oh, Bruce, you are so kind.
Oh, yes, yes,
come
yes,
on the studio with you. These are big shoes to fill, but you know what they say about Adam's shoes? They're about as big as his mouth.
Yes, absolutely.
So, there you go.
That's some big shoes. And you're dressed very dapper today. I really appreciate you dressing up.
I rolled out of bed. What are you talking about?
You classed up the whole operation.
Thank you.
So let that be a lesson to you, ladies. Okay, so we're going to be talking about movies, and like we always do,
we're fanatics, Bruce.
We're film fanatics, and you are too if you're listening to the show. That's what's the beautiful thing. As soon as you start listening to the show, you become a film fanatic. You're automatically incorporated into the group.
Yeah, those who are not fanatics, go ahead and turn your radio to something else.
Yeah, they're the people say,
fanatics here.
I haven't seen that movie. I haven't seen that movie. I haven't seen that movie. Well, you know, maybe TV is your thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe pickleball is your thing. Whatever your thing is, we support you. But if I will say, this is the one thing about our show, you will learn something. Even if you're, I have plenty of people who stop me in the street and say, give me your money. No, stop me in the street and say, Bruce, I only see 4 movies a year, but I love reading your column because it's entertaining. And that's the thing. We try to be entertaining as well as informative.
You were like a professor. You're Professor
You can
Bennett.
call me the professor.
I will.
You legitimately, you can now call me the professor since I'll be
PhD.
I'll be teaching at Dixie State College, Dixie State University.
There you go.
In the fall, and so that will be fun. So yes, call me the professor.
I will.
Yeah. Do I have to wear those jackets with the leather elbow pads? I don't want to look like a professor.
You
I
have
just
chalk on your fingers and
it's like being a millionaire. I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to look like a millionaire.
Exactly.
So anyway, we're going to be talking. So tell us what we have on the marquee, Sheldon.
Bruce, we have on the marquee The Great Gatsby.
Yes.
That just came out yesterday, The Great Gatsby, based off a F. Scott Fitzgerald book.
Yes.
That is
classic.
Very classic. We're also going to talk about some of the best performances of Leonardo DiCaprio's career.
Yeah, we've never really done a discussion on Leonardo.
Yeah, he's got
kind of a big movie star.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal.
People kind of know who he is.
All right, we're going to talk about the success of Iron Man 3.
Ah, yes.
It's
huge box office opening.
Success. We're going to talk about some DVD picks.
Okay.
We'll talk about some of our favorite crime thrillers. A tribute. Later in the show, and we'll go from there.
Excellent.
Some fun stuff today.
Yeah, that's good. We've got a packed show.
If it's Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, it means Film Fanatics.
Film Fanatics. Let's see. Can you imagine what else do people possibly have going on today?
I know. You wake up, you listen to Film Fanatics. That's what happens.
Then you go mow your lawn.
And you mow your lawn.
In that order, by the way.
Yes.
You could have breakfast first because you want to be alert while you're listening to our show.
Right.
And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there taking notes. Not while you're driving, by the way. If you're out driving, listening to us, can we take a phone call today, Roger, Scott? Can we take a phone call? We don't know. Okay, if you have nothing to do today, call 275-7917. We'll see if it rings. But you can also stream us on ktim.org, Film Fanatics. Of course, you can stream us live in high definition. And we love people that stream us because we get messages from all over the world. People can pick us up on ktim.org.
Oh, thank you.
And wonderful. So let's go right into the big movie release this week.
Yes.
Called The Great Gatsby. Basically an adaptation of the Scott Fitzgerald novel. It's been adapted several times. Probably most notably, there was a version with Robert Redford.
Yeah.
And probably the most, besides the fact that it's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Carey Mulligan in it, who are terrific.
Oh, yeah.
And Tobey Maguire, everybody knows him as the original Spider-Man. And he's kind of the narrating voice in the whole film. But probably the most noteworthy thing about this film is that it was who directed it, Baz Luhrmann.
Yes.
And I would say his stamp is all over this film.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely a film by him.
Right.
He did, in fact, he did another DiCaprio movie, Romeo and Juliet.
Correct.
And then he's done a big award-winning film
Moulin Rouge in 2001, yes.
Yeah. And this is very stylistic in that way.
He's a very avant-garde director. No matter what he does it big and loud and splashy. He did Australia, which not a lot of people like, with Nicole Kidman and Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
I rather liked it. It had an epic feel to it.
It did. Well, I mean, everything he does is epic.
Yeah,
And plus, he was born in Australia, so he had some roots there.
Yeah, and he actually did some interesting things on Broadway. He did a modernized version of La Boheme, the classic opera, and did it in New York.
Oh, really?
And so he definitely is a very ambitious director, and we love ambitious directors because at least you can see their passion in what they do, and that's very, very obvious in Baz Luhrmann, particularly in the visual aspect. He and his wife do the costumes together. In Great Gatsby, there's something like over 200 original costumes that they made by themselves, or had other people obviously make. So you want to set up the movie? You want me to set it up? Or?
You can set it up. I'll just say that this director, Baz?
Baz.
I
think Baz.
I think the combination of him and this Baz
Luhrmann.
That's a pretty awesome name, Baz.
It is. It is.
It's pretty BA.
I think you should name one of your children Baz.
I will.
Yeah.
I will.
Baz Demke. That has a nice ring.
That does kind of
Baz Demke.
Baz Professor. After you, of
yes. After you. Well, that's because I'll be the father. But I mean, hey ho.
You know, this material seems so fit for him because it's flamboyant. It's
period piece.
It's a period piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's also known for what we like to call anachronistic applications. In other words, he'll take something that's in a certain period of time and he'll throw something modern in it.
Right.
So basically, the story follows Tobey Maguire, who is an aspiring writer. He works in Wall Street in the early 20s, prior to the Depression, and he moves next door to this rich guy named Gatsby, Jay Gatsby, who throws these lavish parties in this outrageous mansion and outside of New York, but nobody's seen him. He throws these parties and nobody even comes. So Tobey Maguire's character becomes Nick is his name. He becomes fascinated with who this guy is. He's kind of an enigma.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, all these stories are told. Oh, he was a war hero. He was this. And
what's the truth about him?
Yeah. Who knows the truth?
Right. And so probably the problem I have with this movie is the first hour. The first hour really feels like it's all exposition, no plot, and it feels like a preface of a novel where you're setting up the backstory and explaining why you wrote the novel. And Tobey Maguire's writing a story. He's narrating and telling the story that he's going to eventually write about meeting Gatsby and some of the things happen. So while it is visually stunning, and the way they throw these parties, and of course with Baz's touch, they have music by Jay-Z in the background, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no question, it's cool. We saw it in 3D, and it's beautiful. But you know, I liken these kinds of movies sometime to dating supermodels. And I've dated very beautiful women in the past, including my wife. Hello. But it can be very tiring because there's got to be substance to it. Sure, going out with a beautiful woman, you get a lot of attention and you feel great about yourself and you can't keep your eyes off her. There's got to be some substance. And it takes the film about an hour to get into some substance when Jay Gatsby finally pops up and we find out about his relationship, a previous relationship with Carey Mulligan, and maybe they still have a relationship. She's now married, and unhappily so.
To Joel Egerton's
character, and he's a womanizer. And basically that's the movie. Is Tobey Maguire is the third wheel and hangs out with these two while they fall back in love.
About his experience with Gatsby and this whole, because there's kind of a weird triangle.
Sure.
Carey Mulligan is Tobey Maguire's cousin.
Right.
So Gatsby is trying to get to his cousin through him.
Right.
So there's this weird, there's a weird scene where he's begging him to invite his cousin to tea. You know, and there's this awkward tea party between the three of them, and it's
well, Gatsby knows that Carey Mulligan's. It's interesting because he knows she's married, so there is a recognition of protocol and what's respectable
Right.
in society, yet he throws all these lavish parties where people get drunk and do all kinds of wild things, right? And yet there's this recognition of what's acceptable societal standards. And so he has to work through Tobey Maguire to set up this meeting with Carey Mulligan. We don't know exactly what happened to them before, but it's obvious in these close-ups that they show that these two really care about it.
There's an emotion
and there's great chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
Carey Mulligan is as good as Leonardo DiCaprio in this
She
movie.
really is, you know?
I mean, he's the stud and the star and everything, but you got to really understand why he loves her. And I wouldn't say she's a knockout. You know, she's not a glamour type, but there's just a je ne sais quoi about her that's very compelling and sweet and caring and vulnerable.
The way
and
she
everything.
carries herself.
Just darling.
Oh, she is.
She was great in a completely opposite movie, Drive, with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Same kind of character trait. We understand why these dazzling, handsome hunks fall in love with her. There's something about her.
Oh, yeah,
right?
obviously.
And so what did you think? I mean,
well, you said the first hour had no substance, very bright and colorful. What did you think of the second hour?
Okay. Once we got down to, the meat and potatoes about this. Now, a couple of problems I had with the movie, it doesn't really answer some of the big mysterious questions about his background, about her and that. And had this movie been a 45-minute long movie starting at that 1 hour mark, it was terrific, I thought. And there's, if you know the book, there's something happens at the end. I'm not sure there was enough story for me. That's how I felt about it. I felt I felt it was a little shallow, even though the performances were good. There wasn't enough something gravitas or something about the movie that it did seem to rely on the visuals. And it did play very dramatically. It kind of felt like Moulin Rouge without the music.
Basically, yeah.
In a way. And the good and bad of that. Moulin Rouge really is accessible because of the music and the medleys and that type of thing. And it feels like it feels a little shallow when it goes away from that.
If it was
music.
a musical, it would have been better.
Well, yeah, and the music in this is okay. I'm not a huge Jay-Z fan.
You know, and it didn't bug me like I thought it would.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
right.
it would. Some rap would come on, you know, but they didn't overwhelm you with it.
Yes,
it was
restrained. Yes,
so it was very restrained, and I enjoyed that, and it seemed to fit the mood of what was going on.
Right.
I liked it. In fact, I'm going to disagree with you that I think I liked the first hour.
The setup
I actually really enjoyed. I enjoyed meeting these characters for the first time. I liked how we didn't know much about them, but we're trying to figure it out along with Tobey Maguire. You know, we're trying to figure out.
Well, he's great.
Yeah. With Tobey Maguire, we're trying to figure out who Gatsby is, what his relationship with his cousin.
Well, it asks all those questions, but what do you feel that it answers them? That's
the second hour. I think it ran out of gas a bit.
Right.
Like it was trying to wrap things up, but it did it very slowly and tediously. And there was a couple times towards the end I was looking at my watch. I'm like, all right, that's. Yeah. I think I've.
How many times does Leonardo DiCaprio say "old sport"?
Yeah, that was getting.
Did it bug me?
That was getting and they actually mentioned it towards the end. They're like, you know, could you stop saying "old sport"? You know, because he does.
There's a couple of supporting characters like this Elizabeth Debicki. She was the tall black.
Yeah,
I want to see more of her. Man, she was.
Could
great.
I please see more?
Yes,
of her?
Yeah,
she
literally.
was fantastic.
Well, it is PG-13.
She was tall and she was beautiful, and she every time she was in a scene, you gravitated towards her.
Right.
She was really great in all of her scenes.
And the one, the gal that plays Joel Egerton's mistress was
Isla
great.
Fisher.
Isla Fisher was fantastic.
Fantastic,
in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, when you put so much energy into a visual, it is gorgeous film. I cannot imagine that it won't be nominated for some costume thing. Costumes in this are fantastic. And
some of the CG landscapes that he does things that nobody can do. He comes out and he goes back in. And you could see the whole city, and some of the city shots were just gorgeous.
Yeah. It was really, really neat. And I have to say, the source material, I think, is a classic because of the way it was written, not necessarily the story. I mean,
well, in the time that it was written.
Yeah, the Victor Hugo's Les Miserables or Tale of Two Cities or something like that, it's both the way it was written and the story. And I think The Great Gatsby is more of the way it was written more so than the story itself. Because The Great Gatsby was kind of an enigma. And so how do you portray an enigma that really is moving? That's Baz Luhrmann's difficulty. DiCaprio is great, but like he is in a lot of other movies, he kind of lifts the material simply because he's so good.
He is, and he is fantastic.
So I think we're recommending to see it.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would see
understand that it's a little bit of a patience tester.
It is.
It's interesting because it tested my patience the first hour and it tested your patience the second hour.
It did. That is actually very interesting. But I would actually see it again. I would.
Yeah.
And I actually saw it by myself. And there was nobody else in the theater.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, I thought this was going to be popular. I saw it yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and nobody was in there.
Look, this is what we've always said on Film Fanatics, and maybe this is what makes us a film fanatic. We want to see directors that are ambitious and take chances and take risks and don't always go, well, if I make this choice, I'll make $20 million less. We don't want a director. So I am perfectly okay with Baz Luhrmann saying, I am going to make this splashy, extravagant movie, and I'm going to do it the way I want to, whether or not I make $20 or $200 million. And there's something credible that we love about that. This is great filmmaking, even if it's not great storytelling. Does that make sense?
It does. It's a great story about love and more about obsession. It's just, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully everybody has felt the way that Leonardo DiCaprio feels about Carey Mulligan in this film. There's something very melancholy about it, that he had it and threw it away. And again, there's mystery there. We still don't know what the big thing. Remember, early in the movie, it says something happened between the two. And so in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, are we going to find out? Because I can't remember. I can't remember the Greek. I read it in like 9th grade. And as you know, it was back in the 19th century. Right. So I can't remember. So I kept wondering what, and it never really answered.
They didn't really tell you. They didn't spell it out really.
Yeah. And so I think diehard romantics are going to say, I needed more substance to really feel moved. But when DiCaprio and Mulligan look in each other's eyes, and they do quite a bit in this film, there's great chemistry there.
Oh, fantastic.
And it's terrific.
Yes, go see The Great Gatsby in theaters.
Yeah, there's a lot of crap out in the theaters. This is not your typical movie. If you're tired of superhero movies, if you're tired of bad comedies, go see this film. This is very different. And I don't think, there's infidelity, but I don't think even older patrons would be bored by it or offended by it.
I don't think so.
And the period stuff is wild. It's pretty wild. But oh my gosh, I you know what's cool? I could go back to right now in that period for men's wardrobes. Those 3-piece suits.
I know.
Oh my gosh,
very fantastic.
And those cars.
I know. I wanted to drive those cars.
Oh, absolutely.
I wanted to be there.
Absolutely. And so, kudos to Baz for making a film that just. In every detail, there's something to look at and to rediscover if you were going to see it a second time. But, all that being said, maybe a little shallow in terms of the substance, but boy, does he have the style. So that was The Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby.
And speaking of great, should we talk about Leonardo?
Let's talk about him.
Leonardo, is there anybody who doesn't know Leonardo DiCaprio?
I think he is world renowned.
Yes.
Everyone knows who Leonardo DiCaprio is.
Yeah, and he turns 40 this year. And so I think
he turns 40 this year?
Yeah, and so I think you'd have to say that for if you consider actors 40 and younger, Brad Pitt's over 40 now, so he's not in there. No. I'm trying to think of somebody who's bigger than Leonardo. Matt Damon, I don't know, because he's more of an action star. Leonardo's been nominated multiple times for Oscars. When you consider leading men 40 and younger, he is he's
in a category all his own.
Yeah, he really is.
He really is.
Born in the same place I was, Hollywood. Grew up in Hollywood, and like a lot of great actors, got his start in high school theater. And then, of course, he was in a TV show that was popular. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Not Party of Five. People know who it is. It was a popular little TV sitcom, and I'll think of it in a second.
Okay.
Anyway, and so really what we want to talk about a little bit is his rise to fame, and he's made over 25, 30 movies, and you have heard or seen most of them.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's such a great star.
He picks his projects very well. He knows. Plus, he did a lot of films with Martin Scorsese.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they paired up, and I think once Marty Scorsese started work with him.
Growing Pains was the name of sitcom.
Growing Pains. That's
right.
When Martin Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio started working together, I think they had a great friendship, a great bond, and they worked well together. And plus, they made like 4 movies together.
Yeah, and in fact, DiCaprio, I think he's hit the trifecta. I can't think of 3 more I can't think of three directors that today's actors want to work with more than Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, and Christopher Nolan. And DiCaprio's the one actor who's worked with all three of them. So give me your 3 or 4 favorite DiCaprio movies, if you can rattle them off.
Well, I'm sure you're going to laugh at me, but...
laugh? I will never laugh.
I love Titanic. Hey!
No, wait.
Seriously, when he came out with Titanic...
Absolutely.
He was...
Scott's going to sing the theme to us. Your heart will go on, right, Scott?
Every night in my dreams. Hey,
guys, those are the worst versions. that is the Titanic. Your versions of those songs are the sinking of the Titanic, right?
Seriously, in Titanic, I was moved by his performance. I'm like, he's not your average kid in these some weird chick flick. He brought something else to that it was very moving. So
they re-released Titanic,
and
in a digital 3D version,
and
I hadn't seen it in a while, and if there was one thing that I reappreciated, and I love seeing things again that you go, I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, it was Leonardo in that movie, because everybody was, pretty well established. Kate Winslet, to me, she was just fantastic from the second she's on the screen, right?
Yeah.
And Leonardo had to win me over a little bit. But now looking back, I think to myself, man, he was perfect for that.
He really was.
Yeah.
He just, and that catapulted his career just skyrocketed right after
He already had a claim to fame, so to speak, because when he was 19 years old, he was cast in a movie opposite Johnny Depp called What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and it was a nuanced performance of a very special young kid, and that actually is in my top 3 of favorite.
It is in my top 3 as well.
Yeah. Okay.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah.
You just see how much raw talent this kid has. He's a kid.
Yeah.
And he's just... Oh my gosh, he really brought something special to that performance.
And the operative word is special. And the thing is, he didn't cross the line. Right? It wasn't like where there are some movies like I Am Sam with Sean Penn, The Other Sister, remember that one?
Yep.
Okay, where they kind of in certain moments cross the line into parody a little bit, and it's almost a little silly or something, or overly affected. And for somehow... we love his character in that, and we want to hug him.
Yeah.
And yet there's still empathy there, and he never crosses whatever that line is. Loved him in that.
Actually, on my top 3 list,
yes, far we had a total agreement.
Well, and what's funny because my first 2 are his early stuff.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of stuff lately, and I honestly loved him in Django Unchained.
Yes.
He was, his accent, the way he carried himself, he played this, I guess you could say villain.
Yeah, just plantation owner. Slave owner, of course.
He was
Samuel
fantastic.
Jackson was like his number 1 slave.
Yeah. He played that role. So he was cocky and he was arrogant, and he spit those lines out so well with his accent. At one point, he actually cuts himself, and he stays in character. Through that, he slammed something, and you could see him bleeding, and he still stays in character, and it was all...
He plays rather a mature guy, and that's the thing about DiCaprio is later he's starting to develop this ability to play maybe guys wiser and older than himself that have been through things. I think you could say his first few films, he kind of had that baby face.
Yeah.
And now he's settled into, even at 40 years of age, of playing a character that has more life experience and more wisdom than you might expect.
True.
Yeah, he was terrific in Django Unchained.
Yeah.
What else? What other...
those are my big 3. But
yeah, I'm gonna say one that you missed that I think was my favorite role in Catch Me If You Can, where he played Frank Abagnale, the guy who kited checks and came up with these all
assumed in these weird characters,
different identities and stuff like that. And that's when I first woke up. To me, a sign of a great actor is when they can play along somebody who's even bigger and more famous than them and carry it. And they don't get lost in that. And remember when Tom Hanks was in that, and he plays kind of a secondary role to Leonardo DiCaprio in many respects. He's the investigator who's trying to track him down.
Yeah. Tom
Hanks has already had won more Oscars than, Jack Nicholson practically.
Yeah.
Was super uber famous. And DiCaprio is great.
Fantastic.
Oh gosh, the multiple characters He was terrific. Wasn't Christopher Walken his dad in that? They have a couple of great scenes at a restaurant there. So that actually is probably my favorite performance, if for no other reason that it's my favorite movie that he was in. But also my third, besides the ones you mentioned, if you didn't mention Titanic, I was going to mention it. So I'm glad you mentioned it first because that. I would have laughed at you because you're the bigger sap. Yeah. Okay. Great. But it is on my list right there. See. Titanic,
very nice.
There.
Very nice.
Inception. Again, he was good, but the reason I love that movie is because the movie is good.
I was going to say the material was really good.
Yeah.
And he was excellent in the film.
And I think his film work has been dominated by films that were definitely flawed, but you would still say films like J. Edgar, I don't know if you ever saw one, Gangs of New York, Revolutionary Road, where the films themselves were flawed, but I don't think he was flawed. There's some stuff in Revolutionary Road, which in the last 10, 15 minutes, this is where he has this supposedly this happily marriage. Who was his wife in that?
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, right. But the best arguing scenes I've ever seen in
honestly
movies.
Intense.
Oh my gosh.
Like you really felt these were real.
Yes.
Like they are totally arguing right now.
They were.
It made me not want to get married ever.
I mean, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that off air. But marriage is not all like that. I mean, it's mostly like that, Spence.
Thank goodness.
Sheldon, but it's not all like that.
All right.
But and then the film turns into something really ugly and really creepy kind of, you know. Yeah. But up to that point in time, I thought to myself, I remember watching it thinking, and most people will not want to see a movie where two people argue and where their marriage falls apart. They don't want to see that. But I remember thinking to myself, this is the best, most realistic portrayal of an unhappy married couple I've ever seen. It's like you said. It's like they method acted. They went away, got married, and then, Leonardo cheated on somebody around, and this feels so real.
Oh, man.
It was spine-tinglingly
It was
real.
actually, it hurt to watch.
Yes, it did. And it's like I said, not for everybody.
No.
But that just shows. I mean, he can play a character as odd and larger than life as J. Edgar Hoover and turn around and do something like Revolutionary Road and then Gangs of New York. So I think the other ones on my list were Shutter Island. Again, not a film that everybody saw. I really like Shutter Island, actually. And,
I need to revisit that because I didn't at the time. I'm like I wasn't digging it.
Once you know what it is and maybe more importantly what it is not, maybe you can enjoy it.
Maybe.
So it's kind of a film noir, kind of almost Hitchcockian, I thought.
Yeah.
A little bit. So anyway, Leonardo DiCaprio, I think we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a few more films. We're going to talk about crime films, both the then and the now. And once again, we're here with Film Fanatics, ktim.org. Thanks for listening to us. We're just going to take a few second break, and we'll be back with Sheldon Demke, our guest host today.
Thank you.
And we'll be back in just a minute. All right, welcome back to Film Fanatics, where we talk nothing film, of course, and we're fanatic
because we are
about
fanatics.
it. Yes, we are fanatics about it. If you see 150 films a year, Sheldon, you are kind of a fanatic.
I think so.
Yeah. And a lot of people think we become snobs or we don't know what good movies are anymore, but I think all of us who love film, we go into the movies hoping to see a good movie. So I don't think we're snobs at all.
No.
We might be picky, kind of like if you ate at nothing but 5-star restaurants and you were a food connoisseur and you wrote about food, you would develop a certain sense of what you like and what you don't like.
True.
And there's a certain credibility that comes with somebody doing that for a living. And so, yeah, we know what we like and we know what we don't like. But I go into a movie every time going, I hope this is a good movie.
And you know, Bruce, you've got exquisite taste.
Oh, well, thank you. This is Sheldon.
You're welcome.
Well, your taste of my taste is excellent.
And speaking of great taste,
yes.
we love superhero movies.
Yes, we do.
And when we talk about superhero movies, we talk about one of the biggest superhero movies of the year.
Hancock.
Hancock.
What? Hello.
No, Iron Man 3.
Yes. Now, I have to say, I'm not a fanboy. I don't read all of the internet websites on, the inside background information
You're not
about
a comic book geek.
I have no interest in going to Comic-Con, although I know why you guys go, and it's a lot of fun. It's not for me, okay? So I get a little burned out on superhero movies only because you kind of know what you're going to get. So especially in the third installment, I loved Iron Man 1. In fact, I think it's gotten better over time. When I watch it again, I think I gave it a B+ when it first came out, and I liked Dark Knight. Maybe it came out, remember, the same time.
Yeah.
A lot more. And I think the margin between Dark Knight and Iron Man 1 has narrowed for me. Iron Man 2 was kind of a little overblown for me, as is the common case with second installments of big blockbuster films. So Iron Man 3, a psychological subtext and some different characters and a lot more Iron Man suits, and there's more complexity to it. And I rather liked it. I thought it was entertaining.
Well, yeah. And
did you like it?
I did. And it's making a ton of money.
Why is that? Why? I mean, we say, well, it's a superhero movie, but not, I mean, didn't it break some record like the biggest opening weekend in box office history, save the Avengers, I think.
I think you might be right. They actually opened it, which is weird. They don't usually do this. They opened it overseas first.
Right. Like in Asia.
Yeah.
I think, right?
And they opened it like maybe 2 weeks early.
Right.
And it made like over $300 million.
Right.
In the like 2 weeks that it opened.
Well, that's just because
it even came out
they can do that if only 1% of the Chinese population sees it.
That's very true. That's very true.
Of course, they censored it, and the movie was only 4 minutes long. But
that's why so many people watched it.
Yeah, did you know that? I mean, China, the government censors everything.
Yeah, like I heard when Skyfall came out.
Yeah.
They had to cut that thing all
Sheldon, Django Unchained opened, and the day it opened, they shut all the theaters down. People were literally in line to see it, and then they canceled it because it had some content that they felt was unacceptable. Wow. So that was Django Unchained. So
that's crazy.
So Iron Man 3 did really, really well in Asia. They brought it here.
It appeals to mass audiences. It appeals to the young folks. It appeals to the tweeners and the people in their 20s. It appeals.
I'm still surprised
so many people.
for a third installment. I mean, I can understand why it would make a lot of money, but I didn't realize it had the anticipation.
Well, like you said, you revisited the first one and it got better and better.
Yeah.
I think that's what they were watching these other ones and they're like, these are really good movies.
Was there residual affection because of Avengers too?
I'm sure. Avengers was phenomenal. And
it did huge. Then it came out on DVD not that long ago and did huge again on DVD. So
big in DVD sales.
Yeah, so
I think everyone's on the roll, Yeah. And this is a great time to bring it out because I mean everyone's loving this.
Well, and it's funny because here we are the first week of May and it's considered the summer blockbuster. For the movie industries, the summer begins the first week of May.
That's true.
If only. I'm sure our kids would love to be out of school right now, and teachers would love to be too.
And Iron Man 3 is going to be the number one this weekend as well. I think it's going to beat out Gatsby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would agree with that.
I think so.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And we still have two big blockbusters coming. I think Man of Steel is first. Then Star Trek?
No,
or is it
Star Trek
first,
this week and then Man of
Steel
Steel after.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how well those do. I think that Adam feels that they won't do as well as Iron Man 3, but I think Star Trek has the potential for having an even bigger opening.
I think it might.
I don't know. We'll see.
But it's, man, Iron Man's got a huge following.
Yeah, it is. This could be the last one. Iron Man 3, and I would be okay with that franchise ending. It ends on a good note, and Robert Downey Jr. is still at the top of his game.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Let's do Aquaman. Why can't we do Aquaman? Because it would have to be underwater, the entire thing?
That'd be weird.
Because he can't stop crime on land. I'm sorry.
That's true.
He gets out of water, and he flops around like a fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to find Nemo or something.
Hey! We talked about him, and he shows up.
Talking about it.
Were your ears burning?
Get over here, Adam.
Who's this loser running the board over?
Hey, it's Roger the Dodger, man. He's awesome.
Roger. Not much. Did I miss the discussion about the mediocre Gatsby yet?
I think Sheldon and I liked it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Sheldon liked the first half. And I liked the second half, and we were reversed a little bit.
I think it petered out at the end, and
so we put our two halves together, and we got a movie.
You got a movie.
I think that Baz Luhrmann could be on the verge of becoming the new Michael Bay in terms of excess.
Well, I don't think so because
I'm slightly joking. I love Baz Luhrmann.
There's a difference
I'm a
between
huge Moulin Rouge fan.
Yeah, there's
Love
a difference between excess in special effects and excess in attention to detail and visual splendor, which is an art form in and of itself. Well, just more visuals doesn't explain it.
Yeah, the problem is the subject matter. There's not enough subject matter there to support the razzle dazzle of the visuals.
Right, but you have to say the visuals are
beautiful.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Oscar worthy. There's nothing that Michael Bay does that will be Oscar worthy. But you could say Baz Luhrmann.
Revenge of the Fallen was pretty good.
But Baz Luhrmann will probably win several Oscars in his career, for either visual effects or costume design. Or even set design.
I think his offbeat nature, this sort of zany, chaotic thing that he's got going, will keep it probably from happening. I think the reason you and I talked about this a little after Great Gatsby was over about how Moulin Rouge has that. It's got the songs. That's a big key to why that movie works.
Big key, maybe the most important.
Well, those
key.
songs are. There are two things that I think make Moulin Rouge really special. One, it's how audacious the song compositions are. They're taking all these famous songs and doing all this weird, cool stuff with them. The other thing that makes Moulin Rouge special is that all the actors, for better or for worse, sang. And there's something endearing about that.
Yeah.
That guys like Jim Broadbent, who maybe don't have conventionally good voices,
or even
are singing and it worked. I mean, Russell Crowe and Pierce Brosnan would have been at home in that movie. Well, maybe not that far.
Maybe not. Let's not go that far.
Pushing it.
Anyway, I joined the conversation. What have you guys been talking about?
So we talked about Great Gatsby, and then we kind of reflected on Leonardo DiCaprio's career.
And what are your favorite DiCaprio
Sheldon
I love Titanic.
is such a wuss. He mentioned Titanic.
Stop.
And
it was on your list.
It is. On
well,
my
you know
list.
what my favorite is.
And then we talked. What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Eating Gilbert Grape is my favorite.
And my top of my list was Catch Me If You Can, but I also mentioned that he is great in movies that have flaws, like Revolutionary Road, J. Edgar, Gangs of New York, Shutter Island. These are all.
Go even earlier. What about This Boy's Life with Robert De Niro?
This Boy's Life, terrific movie, even with flawed, but you could tell there was something there in that kid that you go, this is incredible.
It dates back to his Growing Pains.
We talked a little bit about his television career.
Did they run the little clip I found?
We don't have clips right now. We can't run clips without you for some reason. You're not here. We lose the capability. So we talked a little bit about that, and that he has worked with the trifecta of directors: Chris Nolan, Quentin Tarantino, and Martin Scorsese, the three directors that everyone in Hollywood wants to work for. And Leonardo can say, they work for me. Anyway,
that's true.
It's true. So turns 40 this year. Can you think of another actor 40 or younger that's bigger, better than Leonardo DiCaprio? We couldn't come up with one.
Matt Damon?
We thought about that, but I would say he's an action-adventure guy. Yeah. He has done some...
No, I think he's very well-rounded. Talented Mr. Ripley. I don't think...
But it's kind of a sporting.
I think there's more.
But nobody saw that. I'm saying big stars.
I think Matt Damon's got box office clout.
But his box office clout is almost all attached to the Bourne series.
Ocean's 11?
Yeah, but that was an ensemble film.
He didn't bring the clout to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. He was a great sub-character in that. But I'm just saying, I mentioned Matt Damon, but I still think Leonardo, the dude's been nominated how many, 4 or 5 times? Matt Damon.
DiCaprio?
Yeah, so.
Once.
Nominated?
He's only been nominated
Gangs
for
of New
one
York?
Oscar. He wasn't nominated for Gangs.
Are
of
you
New
sure?
York. Uh-huh.
For Best Supporting?
No.
Okay,
He was
Django
nominated for
Unchained.
Gilbert Grape. That's it. He wasn't nominated for Django Unchained. He's
Uh,
only been nominated once.
what's
It's
in
a joke.
Gil-
He wasn't even nominated for Titanic.
that is a joke.
There was a big deal.
How many times has
he
Matt-
didn't show up to the Oscars?
I don't think Matt Damon has even been nominated, has he? Well, he
was
won for
nominated-
screenplay, of course, but-
Was he nominated? No, he was nominated for Mr. Ripley, and he won
Was he?
for Good Will Hunting, I think.
Well, he won for Good Will Hunting, but
that
not
was a
acting.
Screenplay
Yeah, it was
nomination.
screenplay, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So
But
all I'm saying is-
DiCaprio's got.
It's a
he's got-
short list of, and I would say that he has made bigger, more diverse movies.
You're probably right. Well,
But-
Titanic's the biggest movie of all time.
But I would say it's him and Damon.
Yeah,
And this
for
is
those
one of the,
younger
we
guys.
didn't really even talk to this.
And you know what? Damon may be 40 now too. I
Yeah.
think he might actually be 40 years old.
And this is one of the things that I've said that's kind of, I've said this for a number of years. You know, when we start losing these greats, and we will, even, Jack Nicholson and some of these great guys.
Robert De Niro.
What's the young crop of guys that's going
That are
to
gonna carry the
surface? They're going to
torch?
go, these are the great young actors.
Well, I think DiCaprio's one of them. I mean, you've got
Jeremy Renner.
Daniel Day-Lewis, and
But he's such a
I know,
method
and
actor.
Gary
He only
Oldman-
makes
and
one
Gary
movie.
Oldman, but even
and
Gary
he's not
Oldman,
a popular actor.
No, and Gary Oldman is not doing what he was doing.
I'm
20
talking
years
about
ago.
big popular actors who are going to make big movies that everybody's going to like that don't necessarily have superheroes in
like
them.
your Tom Hanks and guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, who's
Tom
carrying that
Cruise.
torch? Maybe Josh Brolin?
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner?
He could be.
Maybe.
He hasn't made good on the There are a whole crop of guys that we expected bigger things from that didn't quite get
Yes.
there. Like Colin Farrell's one of those guys.
Yeah, that's
Even
a show
Jude
right
Law.
there.
Even
That's
Jude
a great
Law.
show of guys who are going to be the next great leading men.
Yeah.
Now
I vote for you, Bruce. Bennett.
well, that's true.
or Sheldon Demke.
Thank you.
He's
Thank
only,
you.
he's
Any
only
of us.
29,
Thank
right?
you.
Okay,
Something like
29.
so let's talk about a guy who may even be bigger than
Robert
him.
Downey Jr.?
No, we're going to talk about Tom Cruise, who came out with a little film called Jack Reacher, which is now on DVD, and we're going to talk about
Did you talk about
DVDs.
Iron Man?
Yeah.
We did.
What's
We
that?
talked about Iron Man.
About the success?
Now,
how much money it made?
the question we asked was, I think it was the number 2 highest opening of all time.
Next to
Next
Avengers?
to Avengers, right? Okay. And it'll be interesting to see if Man of Steel and Star Trek can get up there.
Well, we talked about this. I think there's only one movie that has a chance of having as big of an opening weekend as Iron Man 3 did. And that's Catching Fire, Hunger Games. That's it. Nothing else is going to come close.
And but
That's
that
my
doesn't come out in the
prediction.
summer, right?
No,
That's
it's
that's
the
a
end of
fall.
I'm talking about this year.
Is that end of year, holiday,
I
or
think
fall? I can't
holiday,
remember.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, I think.
Yeah.
I think that Iron Man 3 had that luxury of being the first movie out of the gate. It's the first big movie of the summer. People are ready for that.
It's not competing against anything.
No, I think long haul is something else. I think your Man of Steel, if it has legs, it may end up making more than Iron Man 3, but $175
Well, if it's
million
good.
opening weekend is staggering. I don't think anyone expected those kinds of numbers,
Right.
especially for a movie that's polarized fans. We talked about this last week. If you talk to people, there is a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like it.
I
They
can't
do
imagine
not
hate.
like it.
Hate is such a
You
strong
haven't seen
word.
it, have you?
No, not really.
Yeah, I don't get the hate. I could get I get the
Dislike
well, it was-
profoundly.
or dislike because of the source material. But again, we talked about is 98% of the people who see this movie have not read 20 of the comics to know how the main villain character.
Yeah, but
how he should
you
be.
don't need to be an Iron Man aficionado to know that they took certain.
I think you do.
Certain luxury
because it has nothing to do with the first 2 movies. And again, 80%
Well,
of the movie,
they're
80% of the people that see this movie, if it's making 175 million, it's because grandparents, parents, teenage kids, little kids, everybody's seeing that movie. Their reference primarily is Iron Man
But
1, Iron
Bruce,
Man 2.
you and I argued about this last week. There is a reveal in this movie that I've talked to fans and non-fans that feel betrayed in some way by that reveal, and I liked it.
Yeah.
I was entertained
If you
by
feel
it.
betrayed by that, you need to get a life. Put down your PlayStation.
I think Shane Black has taken something that should be conventional and made it unconventional.
Yeah.
I love the offbeat nature of the movie. Do I think it's perfect? No, but I enjoyed it more than any. Maybe I know this is bold. I think I may have enjoyed it more than any other Part 3 in a superhero series in recent memory.
Well, they haven't been.
That includes Dark Knight Rises.
Well, there haven't been a lot
I
of
was
great
more
ones, though.
entertained by it than
There
Dark
haven't been
Knight
a lot of
Rises.
great ones, as we've talked about.
Well, Spider-Man 3, Superman 3, X-Men 3. I mean, the list of mediocrity
that's what I'm saying.
continues.
So,
Spider-Man 3 is great.
What's that?
Spider-Man 3 is great.
Scott, is that your cunning attempt at sarcasm?
It's a good movie.
Are you serious?
When Peter Parker's
Okay, thank you.
playing the piano.
Oh, when he
kinda like
turns into the Fallout Boy singer.
Yeah.
No, I like when he
emo
turns
thing?
into the black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The dark
Venom.
Yeah.
Venom. I like
But
that.
Venom was so sidestepped in that movie. It's like
But I love the Sandman character.
I think
Thomas
that-
Hyde Church, man, he was
Yeah,
terrific.
but Spider-Man 3 does something that a lot of superhero sequels do. They fall into that trap of let's give them more.
More is better.
You know, it's let's throw in more villains. Let's throw in another female. Let's throw in a love triangle. And it's just
see
too
what
much.
sticks.
I think the problem with Spider-Man 3 is Sam Raimi was pressured to deliver another movie after the success of the second movie, and instead of just sitting on the idea and let it percolating for a while, they jumped in. They just
We're
didn't
spending way
develop
too
it
much
enough.
time on
Yeah, let's move
Spider-Man
on.
3. Anyway,
Do you guys
so-
need to take a break?
No, we already took
Okay.
one, and then
Awesome.
you walked in.
Oh.
And so the reason we were talking about Jack Reacher is because it's on DVD.
Right.
And that movie is a little polarizing, too, because a lot of people feel like it's bad acting and over the top and silly, and I think there's a lot of anti-Tom Cruise sentiment to the film. I thought it was good. And maybe it's because I like a good crime drama that at least is one step ahead of the audience. This was one of those rare PG-13 rated crime dramas, because almost everything that's a crime thriller or a crime drama lately has to be, bloody and gory and
That
stuff
I
like
question. Well, we talked about this too. I question whether or not that PG-13 is the fair rating for that movie.
Well,
just because there is no blood doesn't mean that a PG-13 is warranted.
No, but if
the
you're
first
gonna-
10
if you're
minutes
gonna-
of that movie, I think.
yeah, but if you're going to
shocking.
have the
It is
Lord of the
shocking.
Rings movies PG-13, then this one could be too. Just because they're fantasy, they were scarier and more
but
horrific
there's a
and
bunch
more
of orcs and fake creatures getting.
But it's
killed in
higher
Lord of the
body
Rings.
count. I mean, still there's
If you
death.
consider an orc, it's not like a human life.
But you wouldn't necessarily rate
I think
rate
that-
the Lord of the Rings movies rated R.
No.
That's my point.
No.
So my point is the PG-13. I know I'm kind of sound like I'm defending the MPAA, but I'm just saying it's consistent with their bad philosophies of the
Right.
past.
But it is reality based, which does put it
Yes,
to me in
but-
another realm.
And there isn't a high body count.
No, it's just
It was the way that people die.
right. And Born Legacy later last year.
Oh,
had
yeah,
that,
right.
That really.
That
scene
right.
where the guy is
Oh, yeah.
ripping through
Well,
that lab.
Yes, yeah.
That was very intense.
It was, especially coming after the theater shooting and everything.
I do
So
think
anyway,
that
it
the
made
problem
me-
with Jack Reacher for me is Tom Cruise, and I am not a Tom Cruise hater. I love him, and I did not hate him in Jack Reacher, but I do think that for me, it was just Tom Cruise. There wasn't enough edge or bite or mystery to his character.
Well, and if you had cast somebody like the guy who was in
Jai
Courtney, or some other smaller character, it might have been gotten a little bit more interest, because the thing about Cruise is it comes with all of our past knowledge of him, and so it's we bring all that to the movie.
He's a brand.
And there's no mystery to him. Almost, even though he's playing a guy who's somewhat mysterious. So you bring somebody else who has a different je ne sais quoi there and more mystery. But anyway, it prompted this discussion about great crime thrillers. Are they
there
gone?
are
Can
none.
we still make one?
And
Okay,
also, Bruce,
so
if you don't want to see this on DVD, it's actually still playing at the rec list behind the mall. So
Love it.
There you go.
And for those who like to see a movie in the theater, a la us,
Yes.
go
yes,
see it.
sure,
$2.
sure,
$2, yeah.
So of course I grew
Great
up in the
manager
era.
over there too, I might add.
I grew up
I hear
in
he's
an
very
era
handsome.
of great crime thrillers, and I would like to say or suggest that the crime thriller started with the Godfather series. Sure, there was films before that, Big Sleep, Vertigo, Hitchcock did a few, Frenzy, and stuff
What
like that.
year was
but
Godfather?
71, 72, 73.
Was that so it was pre-Chinatown?
So, yes, Chinatown was 74. Serpico came out right around that time. French
70.
Connection was
You know what?
71.
You want to talk about,
The Sting.
The 70s were the decade.
So
was
I'm
the
saying
decade
I
of
grew up in
crime
that
thriller.
era, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, because then in the 80s and 90s you had Goodfellas, Heat, The Untouchables, L.A. Confidential, even Fargo. I think was a great crime
Collateral.
drama.
Michael Mann.
Okay, that's 2000s. I haven't even gotten there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thief
So
with James
Donnie
Caan.
Brasco, and then Presumed Innocent, Jagged Edge, all of those. John
Suspect,
Grisham,
True Believer.
So great stuff in the 80s. I loved.
And by the way, there are a couple of Michael Mann movies. Thief and Manhunter.
And Manhunt,
also.
great. Manhunter?
Manhunter, yeah.
Manhunter
What about
or
the
Manhunt?
French
Manhunter.
connection?
Manhunter.
French connection.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
that in
Oh, you did?
1971.
Okay, yeah.
So then I started thinking I got to really make a list of the great crime dramas of the past 10 years, and right up there you said Collateral, And of course, Insomnia, Memento, both Christopher Nolan movies. If you haven't seen Insomnia, you need to. It's Al Pacino's his last really great movie. I thought he was terrific in that.
Great as the bad guy in there.
Mystic River, Gone Baby Gone, Road to Perdition, Traffic, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Animal Kingdom, and a little Australian
Even
film.
The Dark Knight is.
I kept superhero movies out because I think that's a crime drama wrapped in a superhero movies. The purpose of these movies is solely to unravel a murder mystery or something like that.
What's the film that Joseph Gordon-Levitt did? The Lookout. Totally underrated.
Yes, I forgot about that one. Great, kind of a heist crime thriller.
There's another one, The Heist.
Yeah, even some people might say Looper was a crime drama, sort of, or Lawless, but they were more kind of supernatural or
How about Ronin?
Depression. Ronin,
great
terrific.
car chases.
So, I mean, Bernie, which was kind of a crime. So, anyway, but it was a great comedy. And just like Thelma and Louise, there was a kind of a funny subtext to it, even
Pulp
though it was...
Fiction.
Yeah.
So these are some great films. By the way, a film that a lot of people did not see last year that I think is one of the great crime thrillers I've seen in the past 20 years was Arbitrage with Richard Gere. Classic setting. Something happens.
Yeah.
Well, a liar, he lies, gets caught up in his lies. Mysterious, great actor. Richard Gere continues to make great movies that nobody sees, which is really sad.
Yeah, that was a great movie. You know what else?
I think that's on DVD now,
It
too.
is on DVD.
Yeah.
In the 2000s,
Arbitrage.
another film that's not really lumped into this category, even though I think it's steeped in sort of a 70s crime thriller vibe, is Munich, another Spielberg movie, which totally has a 70s
I agree with that
feel
totally.
to it.
And you liked Zodiac a lot more than me.
I love Zodiac.
But it falls into that crime drama. I love those. And I think a reason, maybe not the reason, a reason we don't see enough of them in the movie theaters is because they've dominated television. When you think of the great TV dramas that are very, very possible, the CSIs and all those, they're a Law and Order,
Homicide, Criminal Minds,
all of those. There's so many of them that people don't necessarily want to see them when they go to the theater.
Yeah.
Right? So it could be.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Those are all good choices, though, and maybe Jack Reacher will be the start of a new trend because people like it, and it's finding a life. Even though it's just come out on DVD, it is finding a life. People are interested.
Yeah. Now,
in
people tend to think, you think it's a classic. No, that's not even half the movie Collateral is. No, but there's a lot of people that won't see Collateral because it's too
much
gratuitous. It's too gory and graphic. It's a great film.
Well, no one does crime thriller like Michael Mann. It's not just the
that soundtrack. Oh man, the whole thing.
And it's not just the writing. It is the way that they're shot.
There's like Jamie Foxx has been better in another movie, honestly.
Well, Ray.
He won for Ray, but that's because he carried that movie.
He was pretty great in Django Unchained too.
Yeah, he was.
But he's a terrific actor. But that movie, Michael Mann's movies have that really cool look, that sort of blue tint thing. Yeah. Collateral was all.
Even his remake of Miami
digital.
Vice wasn't terrible.
I didn't like that one at all. I didn't like Public Enemies either. I wasn't.
I liked that Johnny Depp.
I couldn't.
I liked Public Enemies.
We're running out of time, so let's move on.
Well, really quickly, Jack Reacher, written and directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who's a great screenwriter. He won an Oscar for Usual Suspects.
Oh, there's one right there. There's one. I didn't even have that on my list.
Is another great one. Seven.
Yeah.
Great crime thriller.
Yeah.
Even the action stuff in the '80s, like Lethal Weapon, which we skimmed over because maybe they're in another.
Yeah.
A different level, like your Die Hard.
It's probably my second or third favorite genre. I mean, if you say. What movies do you love going to see?
Yeah, so number one on action, porno. Yeah, porno and crime thriller.
Yeah, and don't forget movies starring Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Katherine Heigl.
I would say action adventure. I love great action adventure films, and then really good comedies. I love great comedies. But I would say crime dramas, really well written crime dramas. I love.
We are running out of time. You're right. Did you talk about the other two DVDs? We'll just skim over them. Cloud Atlas, which is another one. Loved it. One of my favorite movies of the year. Totally polarized audiences. Some people didn't get it. Sheldon, I don't even think you liked it as much as I
did. I did not. No, I think it was made to confuse.
Yes, and I disagree.
Like, how can we confuse everybody? You know,
I didn't feel that at all. I
but
thought
while you were being confused, you couldn't take your eyes off the screen.
That's true. No, it was beautiful.
It was mesmerizing.
And to me, it connected. I connected to it. The way that the time frames transitioned into one another, it worked for me. I thought there were amazing moments.
Adam was high when he watched it, and he came out. He's like, "We're all connected, man."
I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that.
We're all connected.
Something in the popcorn, man.
You know, I do think that Cheech and Chong are the comical duo of all time. So
Who cut your hair? Okay, no, here's the feeling that I came out with Cloud Atlas. It was like, while I was watching it, I could not help but go, oh, there's Tom Hanks. Oh, there's Halle Berry.
Yeah.
You were rattling off all the multiple
I thought there
characters
were great
that
performances.
Maybe, but it still was kind of quirky.
And Hugh Grant is that Viking guy. I mean,
loved
that was
him.
amazing.
But I'm saying, did I love him because of his performance, or it was like, oh, there he is there, and there he is this. It's
Hugo
like
Weaving as a woman. That's
it's
fun.
both.
it's like
I think it works on both
Where's
levels.
Waldo? It's kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
there's Hugo
totally.
Weaving there. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, but I thought there were strong performances as well. There were times where I forgot who I was
Hugo
looking
Weaving,
at. They all
I think,
played
was the one
multiple
guy. He was a
characters.
villain in everything, right?
Right.
I think he was a. No, it's
Mr.
Again,
Anderson.
Adam, we talked about this with Baz Luhrmann, for example. We love people who are ambitious and really try to make a great film. We shouldn't always criticize somebody who aims high and misses the mark. I'd rather have that than
Except
a
for Michael Bay.
Yeah,
That's what Michael Bay does.
No,
he
no,
does the same
no.
thing.
He aims
Blows the
high,
mark up.
and he aims high, and then shoots it.
Explosions are always much more effective if you care about the people that perishes in them. That's what I always say, and I don't.
And I don't care about.
It's like,
so.
who is that guy that just died?
I'm not
over
talking
there?
about ambition
I
being
know.
excessive. Ambition stylistically, plot-wise, causing you to think and maybe even be a little confused.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, Cloud Atlas,
Definitely
we can
rent
all
it.
agree it's better than Texas Chainsaw 3D, which also came out on DVD, or comes out on Tuesday.
So sad.
Moving on, we lost an icon in the
yes.
industry this week. I believe he was in his 90s, 95,
94.
was he 94?
94.
Ray Harryhausen, a stop-motion animation pioneer. He was inspired, he worked on King Kong. That sort of set him off, and then he went on to do
You're talking about the first King Kong.
the original
19
with Willis
20
O'Brien,
say or
Figure
whatever.
Eight.
Yeah.
And then he would go on to do Jason and the Argonauts and Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, which have both those skeleton sword fights that are absolutely incredible, and
Iconic, yeah.
Clash of the Titans too, with that great
The original.
performance by Harry Hamlin, and
The original Clash of the Titans.
pre-LA Law, no less. So Ray Harryhausen, we'll miss you. We are going to watch Seventh Voyage of Sinbad in your honor this evening. In fact,
which
I
one
am,
should
at
that we
least.
watch? Which Ray
Well,
Harryhausen?
for me, the movie that changed my life as a kid, for me personally, was Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. As a kid, I loved that movie. But later on in life, Clash of the Titans opened the same weekend as Raiders of the Lost Ark. How's that for a monstrous, weekend? I mean, both those movies opened on the same weekend.
Wasn't there a Jason and the Argonauts movie?
Jason and the
That's the one I
Argonauts.
love because I remember where
Yeah.
they're in the ship and they're going through that big rock
Oh, yeah.
formations with the Greek gods, and then it all collapses.
That, and he also did
Didn't he do a
Mysterious
Mysterious Island with the big crowd?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Which was also
Those haunted my
the bees. Remember
childhood.
they're in the big honeycomb,
Yes,
and the bees
yeah.
come out attacking. Brilliant. What else do we have? Gorilla?
Yeah.
Should we talk about that?
For a second,
Because
sure,
we wrapped on your movie, and it's pretty darn funny.
Yeah.
I can't wait for audiences to see it. Saturday, May 18th, the 2013 summer movie edition of the Gorilla Short Showcase and the local filmmaker Spotlight, which pretty much
What day?
showcases. It's Saturday, May 18th.
May 18th. Okay.
6 p.m. Red Cliff Cinemas. It's only $5 a person. Children 10 and under.
How many
are
entrants are
free.
you going to have this year?
We had 25 signups. I think we had 17 people finish.
But you already got the films.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we've got them, and we've
17?
seen. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
We've seen most of them. They're 5-minute shorts, and some of them are great. Sheldon, I just mentioned, has one called "Girl of My Dreams," which is really, really funny.
Are you in drag, Sheldon? True or false?
Jeffrey Sanders.
I am the girl of my dreams.
Jeffrey Sanders has a film called Puppet Show that's positively brilliant. We watched it yesterday. Lonnie Black and Brandon Tippett did a movie
We have so
called
many talented
Live Long and
people
Prosper.
here in town, and people always say that, and when they say that, they usually think about singers, dancers, and stuff.
No, there's a lot of.
I would submit there's as many talented young filmmakers here as there are singers and dancers. I really
And some
feel
of them
that
don't
way.
get a shake, and that's what we hope to do, is to create this platform. If you're a musician, you can play on the street corner with an acoustic guitar, but if you're a filmmaker, it's not the same.
No.
Showing your movie on some little, on an iPod or
but this
whatever,
is
it's
how
not the same,
Steven
so.
Spielberg, this is how all these young guys, these great directors, this is how they got started. Somebody gave them a movie camera and said, go make a movie.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And the local filmmaker Spotlight.
And Adam, you should be congratulated. I know I sound like I'm just kissing your butt, but you really should be congratulated because you're giving people an opportunity. Nobody else is doing this. Nobody else would do this. And you are really giving people making their dreams come true.
Well,
with
I
this
just,
gorilla.
you know,
in its 11th year. Are you 11th?
No, we've been doing it since 2005. This is our 19th.
19th.
Since 2005.
Your actual 19th gorilla
event.
thing,
Yeah,
right.
we do them in October, Christmas, and spring.
I remember
And
where I
appreciate-
was at
appreciate
Albertsons
that.
when you were telling me the first time you were doing that.
Yeah.
I remember the whole
Well, I hope
idea.
you can make it on the 18th.
Yeah, we'll see.
Where do people go to get more information on this?
Well, we've got the Facebook page. You can go to
We're going to put it
zbowman.com. There's a big article.
We'll put it on our Facebook on Film Fanatics. We'll
Yeah.
put a big write-up in there.
And then
on Film
hopefully you can
Fanatics.
get it. Maybe you can get it in the Spectrum.
Yeah,
I'll shoot you
do
some
that.
information on it. The local filmmaker spotlight also. There's some cool stuff there. Darren Chase has a movie called Heroes of Tomorrow's Past, which is just a great title. It's kind of a time travel.
And these are all
Western.
short films.
Uh-huh.
So that's great because, they are amateur. So
What's the one, Achieving the Dream,
Achieving the Dream.
too, which is this epic 35-minute comedy about comic book store nerds fighting for local supremacy. It's hilarious.
it's really good.
And then the documentary that we've been working on called Songs of Life with Art Kaufman, which we've been working hard to get that done to show. It's a 10-minute preview reel that we're hoping we'll have for that as well. So, yeah, everyone come out. May 18th, thank you for that compliment.
It's true.
I love all the talent here, and I'm a nobody. It's just about everybody else. That's how I look at it. I just, if somebody gets bit by the bug at doing one of these little events, I think that's what it's all about.
Oh, it's gonna
cool.
happen. We are going to have somebody that comes out of here and that becomes famous. It just takes time to develop that. But
there's so many people out there saying no, 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 and we want to be the people that say yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely.
It's all about encouragement.
Absolutely.
It's Bob and Kathy Burns, man. Beast wishes.
Yes.
They said it best, and that's kind of who I aspire to be.
Hey, we want to give a shout out to Sheldon who came in. We really appreciate
thank
it.
you.
He was
Thank you.
fantastic.
I love being
Oh,
here.
do you guys want to do your
He classed up the show.
your weekly power rankings? really
No,
quick?
we don't have time for that. Except
Star Trek next Friday.
Is it?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Fan sneaks.
What's that about?
I don't know. They're doing Fan Sneaks Wednesday night. You can see it at IMAX theaters all across the country. 8 p.m. showings.
Might
on
be worth
Wednesday
the
night.
drive to
Maybe.
Las Vegas.
Guess who's making that drive? We are.
Guess
my
who
friend.
already has their tickets? You.
Me, my friend. That's right.
Nerd alert. Okay. Anyway, thanks. We'll leave on that note. As always, it's great. Roger sitting in today. Fantastic.
Thanks, Roger.
Scott, as always, awesome. We will see you next week on Film Fanatics. Until then, save the aisle seats for us.
Goodbye.
Do.